Hello, I'm Michael Wilson, and today I'm going to show you how to use the online quiz features in Haiku. So here you see I'm in my Haiku page, and the first thing I'm going to do is click on the Assess tab up here. You have a number of options, and the one that I'm going to choose is Assessments. You can see I already have a couple of quizzes in here, but I want to walk you through the process on how to create a quiz and how the students will take the quiz as well to give you a full picture. There's the Add Assessment button here. If I click on that one, it'll allow me to create a brand new quiz. You have a couple of different options here, one for exam and one for practice. Basically, the difference is that the exam allows students to take it as many times as you specify, and it does not give them immediate feedback, whereas the practice one, as they answer the questions, it will tell them right away whether or not they got those questions right or wrong, and it's good for practice. I'm going to go ahead and choose the exam option because I want to create an actual quiz that I can administer in the class. So I select exam and then click on next. This screen, just like all of the content blocks in Haiku, this is asking you to create a title for your quiz. So I'll give this one a quick title. In this larger area, you can provide a description of what the exam covers, or you can leave it blank if you want. This total points box is where you type how many questions you're planning on making your quiz. I'll go ahead and specify 10 here. Now, one thing I'd like to address about this total points box is you can make an assignment worth as many points as you want. So for example, let's say that I have a quiz and I only have four questions on the quiz, but I want to make it worth 10 points. What the computer will do is if the student gets all 10 questions right, it will scale the number of points they earn per question to make sure that the end result score is worth the amount of points that you specify here. So I'm going to say that I want each question to be worth 1 point, which means that the total is going to be 10, 1 point for each of my 10 questions. Here you can specify if there's a time limit. So if you want to give them unlimited time, I'm going to go ahead and select that option. Here you can specify how many times the student is allowed to take the test. I only allow my students to take the test one time, and so I'm going to select one from the list. You have a couple of anti-cheating options here available as well. You can randomize the questions, and this is really nice, especially if you have students taking the test in a lab type setting. If they've got a computer in front of them and the student next to them is also sitting in front of a computer, if the questions were in the same order, if I was on question 1, I could look over at the guy next to me, and if he was on question 1, it would be real easy for me to cheat off of him. But if I randomize the questions, then question 1 for me might be my neighbor's question number 5. So that's a nice little option to check if you want to use it. Just as you can randomize the questions, you can also randomize the answer choices. So if you had a multiple choice question, my answer A for any given question might end up being my neighbor's answer choice B. So it will shuffle the multiple choice options as well. I'm going to go ahead and click the Finish button. And you can see right here it has created for me a blank quiz. Right now there are no questions in this quiz, so I'm going to click the Add Question button to add a question. You can see I have a variety of different types of question choices to choose from. I have played with several different online quiz making tools, and I like the ones in Haiku the most simply because of the number of question types that I can create. As a matter of fact, this matching option is one of my favorite ones. It allows you to have a list of vocabulary words on the left side and definitions on the right side, and the definitions are all jumbled up. And the student has to drag a definition from the right side and drop it onto the matching vocabulary word. That functionality works the same way as it does in the SBAC test, making this not only a good quiz, but also good practice for the SBAC exam. So if whatever type of question I want to create, I just click on the button. We'll say that this first question is going to be, I'll do a multiple choice here. All I have to do in this big area is type in the actual question, and then down below I have different answer choices that I can do. If I click this little red button, that's the delete. So if I wanted to provide the student with only 3 options, I could delete this 4th option. At the same time, if I wanted to provide them more answer choices, all I have to do is hit the Add Choice Answer button, and it will create another option for them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and type in a question and some possible answer choices. Through the power of video editing, I have created my question, and I have provided a variety of different answer choices. And all I do is click the little radio button next to the correct answer choice. Because I've selected that the answer choices will be randomized, it doesn't matter if I make the correct answer for every question A, because it's going to shuffle them up for me. So here I've got a question, answers, marked the right answer, and now I'm going to click the finish button. If I want to create another multiple choice question, I can click finish and add another, and it will go ahead and create a new blank one for me as well. I'm just going to go ahead and click finish so that you can see what this looks like. Here you can see that it's added a new question to my quiz. Right now it's the only question in my quiz, and it puts a little check mark indicating which is the right answer. Of course, when students take the test, they won't see what the right answer is. I'm going to go ahead and create one more type of question because I want to show you how some of the other options work. I'm going to add a question, and this time I'm going to use a fill in the blank question. Here, this little gray box is the blank. So you can type in this text editor your question and leave where you want the blank space to be. That's where you put this little box. So I'm going to go ahead and type my question now. So you can see my question is typed out, and I've left the blank space where my answer will be. Incidentally, I'd like to point out that if you're using Google Chrome, you have this little arrow down at the bottom of the box. If the question you're typing is a little longer, if you put your mouse on that arrow, click and drag, it'll allow you to resize the box and just give you a little bit more room to type. I don't recommend making the box ginormous. I've run into some problems with that in the past, but if you make it a little bit bigger, you'll be good to go. So here you can see I've typed out my question, and the answer to this question is 7. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my possible answer choice right here, 7. And there's a couple of different ways that I could anticipate a student typing in the answer. They could just type the number 7, but they might put 07 as well. So I'm going to add another possible answer choice and type in 07 for that. And yet another way they could do it is they might spell out 7. So I'm going to put in all the different answer choices that I think they may come up with. You can also specify if you want to give partial credit to an answer choice. If for some reason I believed that that the numerical values 7 were 100% right and that this should some reason receive only half credit, I could type in 50% here and it will give them only half credit for answering that choice. So that's an option for you as well. I'm going to go ahead and click the finish button, and you can see how this question comes out. Here's my question, and then there'll be, when the student takes the test, there'll be a box and they have to type it in. If they answer any of the possible answer choices that I've specified, then they will get the answer correct. I'd like to show you one last type of question that you can add here. It's the matching question. So I'm going to go ahead and add a question, hit the matching button. You've got this field one more time where you can type instructions. Basically what this does is in column A you type the vocabulary word, and then in column B you type the definition. When the computer gives this question to a student, it's going to shuffle up all of the definitions. The student will drag and drop the definition onto the matching vocabulary word. So I'm going to go ahead and create a question that uses this matching feature. Here I have completed my question. I've got some instructions up here at the top. I've created the vocabulary term with the matching definition on the right, and I've done that for several. You just click the Add More button to add as many matching questions as you like, and just like before, when you're finished, hit the Finish button. And here you can see the question summarized with the word and the matching vocabulary definition on the right. Now, if you decide that you need to edit any question that you've already created, this little button right here will do that. And I do need to edit my matching question because I forgot to tell you something. Now, this is kind of important. You can see that this question has 5 different vocab words with the matching definitions over here. I want this question to count for 5 points. To make that happen, if I scroll down to the bottom where I see weight here, I specify that this one needs to be worth 5 points. If I only had that set to 1, then that means that the student would need to get every single term right to get 1 point. Otherwise, the computer will assign them a fraction of a point, 1/5 of a point for every one that they get right. So now that I have selected that they will receive 5 points for this question, I go ahead and hit the Save button. So I have finished creating my test, and you can see I've added a number of questions here. I ended up adding a total of 12 questions instead of my original 10, so I want to change the number of points this quiz is worth to 12. I just click on Manage Assessment and then down to Edit Settings, and there I can find the section where I originally set the quiz as being worth 10. I can change that and make it worth 12 points instead. Now I click Finish, and my quiz is now done. When you are finished with your quiz, use the Manage Assessment button to publish it. This screen allows you to set a variety of features. The one that I want to encourage you to use is this restricted access option. You can allow students to take this anytime. If you allow your students to do at-home quizzes, this is the one you'd want to use. If you want to make it available only for a specific window of time, then you can specify that window right here. I like to use the restricted access option. What it allows me to do is create a password so that only I know the password. When the students come to class, I wait for them to get on the password screen, and then I tell them, okay, the password for this quiz is Apple. They'll type in that password, they can take the quiz. As soon as they're done in that period, all I have to do is go in and change the password to something else for the next period. This way, if the kids go out to lunch and tell friends from another period that the password is Apple, they could, in theory, be taking the test at lunchtime with their friends. You don't want that to happen, so by using the restricted access, it allows you to change the password after each period. I'm going to choose that option and select Finish. Here is where I can set that password. All I do is click the Add button and then type in my password. And I can make it valid anytime or again between just a specific window. I'm going to click Save. It says that I have added one password to this quiz. If you want, you can add all of the passwords for all of your periods, and then as you go throughout the day, once one period has taken it, you simply delete their password. Click the Done button. Once I'm finally finished with an assessment, I need to be able to access it later. And you can do that from the Assessments tab. So if I click on Assess and down to the Assessments, you'll see that it lists all of the different quizzes that I have created. And the one that I just created is this one right here, Loops. After students have taken a test, I can see how they did using the Manage Assessment button. For example, students took this test quite some time ago. I can click on Manage Assessment and down to View Result. When I view the results, you can see that I'm given a list of all of my students, and I can select the period from this drop-down box right here. What's nice is that Haiku pulls its roster of students from Infinite Campus's roster of students, which means that I can put the score results on the left-hand side of the screen and Infinite Campus on the right-hand side of the screen, and I would be able to just very quickly zip through this and type in all of the scores right into the gradebook. It makes it very fast and easy to get the scores from the grade report into the Infinite Campus gradebook. Another thing that you can do is view question statistics. So if I were to click on this tab, it will show me for each question what percentage of the students were getting that question right. So I can see what areas at a glance they need to work on. Also from the Manage Assessments section, you have the ability to close and reopen assessments. So tests that students have already taken, I recommend that you close those assessments. That will prevent them from taking those tests again. Now, if you specified that the students are only allowed to take the test one time, if you specified that when you were creating the test, then they will only be able to take it one time. However, again, you want to make sure that any students that may be absent that day aren't taking the test outside of your classroom. So by setting the password or by closing the test, that prevents them from taking it at all. If you do want to change the password, that can also be done from the Manage Assessments button. Simply click on it and then select Manage Passwords, and any passwords that you've created will be displayed here. If you delete all of your passwords, it will make it impossible for a student to take the test. Any password they type in will be incorrect, and it won't accept no password as an option. So that's another way that you can lock a test. When you're ready to give the test, just make sure that it is not closed, and any student will be able to click on it and begin the exam. In the next video, I'll show you what it looks like from the student's side when they take your test.